To be tuned in. He may do something wild.
There's a different energy to this man's game.
He came out looking like a man on a mission.
Yeah, he is eating the Blazers for dinner tonight.
Draymond finds him another three.
Oh,
62!
You the Jordan meme, right? I take all that personally.
Get it, Steph. Taking 2021 seriously, guys. 62. And here's the thing. It wasn't just against anybody. It was against the Blazers, a really good team. So, Stephen A., what did the performance tell you about him?
Well, it just reminded me that this is the greatest shooter since mankind existed. I've never seen a shooter greater than Steph Curry. I mean, it's off the dribble, it's spot up, it's anywhere on the floor, it's his movement without the basketball, it's catch and shoot, it's taking you off the dribble, it's spotting up. This brother is the greatest shooter we have ever seen, period. And when you take that in consideration and you just tickle your imagination as to when Klay gets back, the Golden State Warriors will be back at the very least in the conference finals because they're just too lethal of marksmen to ignore. I want to put this into consideration. Steph Curry is considered to be struggling. He is averaging 32 points on 45% shooting from the field, 36% shooting from three-point range, and that's considered struggling. Oh, by the way, he's shooting 98% from the free throw line. I mean, this is just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. This is who he is. The first 10 years of his career, this man has shot better than 40% from three-point range. The first 10 years of his career. We celebrate people who do it once. And this dude did it the first 10 years. He is the greatest shooter man has ever seen. I know it sounds hyperbolic. It's not. It is not an exaggeration. I don't care whether you bring in Bird, whether you bring in Ray Allen, Reggie Miller, Chris Mullin. I don't give a damn. There has never been a shooter this great. And when Klay gets back, look the hell out. Golden State is going to be immediately back in championship contention. And by the way, I like that kid Wiseman.
Well, he's clearly the greatest shooter ever. He's a mobile artillery unit because he can go get his own shot, and he invented shooting it from a million miles away, which created even more space. You know, how can you change the NBA? Make it a 4-point shot if it's farther away. So it didn't occur to people, no, it's all right to shoot it from 10 feet behind the arc if you can hit it regularly, which he can, which opens up the whole offense. He revolutionized the game. And by the way, for years, I thought he was not a clutch shooter, Stephen A. I saw it in the playoffs. I don't care what anyone says. You go back and look at the highest leverage moments. I thought, why is Steph not as good here as he normally is? Shooting the ball. Even that started to change. Even that started to change. You know, that started to change. Given enough reps, he's now deadly in the clutch with the ball in his hand. It wasn't always that way. It is now. This is what I was thinking yesterday. This is what I took from the performance. And like a lot of people, I was watching football and keeping track of what was going on in the basketball game. Oh, my God, Steph went for, 31 at the half. Now he's up to 40-something. Now he's up to 50-something, 62. Stephen A., there have been more athletic point guards than Steph, obviously. Allen Iverson or Russell Westbrook. MVPs who are clearly more gifted athletically overall, right? There have been better two-way point guards than Steph Curry. Chris Paul or Isaiah Thomas, right, or John Stockton. There have been players who've done a lot of what Steph has done. Steve Nash, although Steph is really Nash 2.0 because he doesn't need to monopolize the ball. It doesn't stick with him, and he shoots it even better than Nash. But when I look at the history of the NBA, you take away Magic Johnson, right? Modern NBA, take away Magic, who's 6'8", 6'9". He is a point guard, and he's the greatest ever. But I'm talking about of the regular-sized point guards. Steph's the best who ever did it. He's the greatest of all time. And for all the reasons I just mentioned. Ball doesn't stick. Unselfish player who can score from anywhere, who makes all his teammates better shooters. And by the way, he's not a good defender because he's not big. He's wiry. He's not so, long. But he plays defense. It's not like he's not there. Go ahead.
Steph Curry the other day in practice, Max, made 105 straight three-pointers. 105
Yeah, it's stupid.
straight
Yeah.
three-pointers without a miss. Steve Kerr had the joke of the year when he sat up there and said he choked. He didn't get to 106. You understand? 100 and
I love me some Steph Curry. Steph Curry is the greatest shooter in the history of basketball. Just recently, he surpassed Jason Terry to be number 3 on the all-time list in career three-pointers. Just recently. But if you recall, it only took Steph Curry 655 games to do that. Whereas it took Jason Terry 1,410 games to make 2,282 threes. It only took Steph Curry 655. This man right here only has the great Reggie Miller and the great Ray Allen standing in his way to be the all-time three-point shooting king, and who with any sense doubts that he's going to do it? Steph Curry is the greatest shooter in the history of basketball. Better than Reggie Miller, better than Ray Allen, better than Jason Terry as a shooter, better than his own father, Del Curry. Better, better, better. Because all of those guys were guys who caught and shot. Catch and shoot shooters. That's what they were. Not that Reggie Miller couldn't put the ball on the floor one step here or there, or that Ray Allen couldn't do the same. But essentially, catch, fire away. Steph Curry would dance on you. Steph Curry would stand still and spot up. Steph Curry will catch and shoot. Steph Curry's running off of picks to catch and shoot. He'll dribble up the floor and pull up. And let me tell you something right now. The Denver Nuggets, talk about humble pie, humility, slapping you in the face. Last night, a record was set. The Golden State Warriors dropped 10 threes in the first quarter. 10 threes. This is in Denver, mind you. This is in Denver. Poor fans out there. You know how cold it gets, know how much snow they accumulate. Got a good team to root for this year because I'm a Jamal Murray fan, let me be clear. Gary Harris, Jamal Murray. I mean, these brothers can play. I'm telling you that right now. Love these guys. But let me tell you something. Go State's on another level. And I try to tell folks, look, 10 threes, 51 points in the first quarter. Game was over before it started. Game was over so somebody had a chance to pass gas. Bam, it's over. This is how elite they are. The elite shot makers that they are. Steph Curry ultimately finished with 31. Klay Thompson finished with 31. Kevin Durant, he just decided to chip in 27. Because that's what he does. But that's not even the biggest point that I wanted to make. Ladies and gentlemen, every time I think about Steph Curry, I think about the Knicks. 2009 NBA draft. The 7th overall pick in the draft by the Golden State Warriors was Steph Curry. The 8th pick was the Knicks. 1 pick shy of being able to have Steph Curry to light up Madison Square Garden. 1 pick. That's it. 1 pick. And it could have been special. And they weren't able to get Steph Curry. Steph Curry. And there's an interesting article on ESPN.com by Kirk Goldsberry. He's an ESPN staff writer. Wrote a very, very interesting article. You know what? And he was highlighting this. There's a difference between threes and deep threes. Deep threes are threes between 30 and 35 feet. Now remember, you're talking 19-9 in the NBA. So 3-pointers, you're talking about 20 feet, 22 feet, 23 feet. No, I said deep threes. Steph Curry, between 30 and 35 feet. The NBA makes 35% of its threes overall and 22% from between 30 and 35 feet. Steph Curry shoots 54% from threes between 30 and 35 feet. 54%. That means more than 1 out of every 2 shots he takes from that distance, he makes. Over the past 4+ years, Curry has made 48% of his threes from 30 to 35 feet. Do you understand what that is? Do you understand how great that is? I mean, this dude is unreal. Unreal. He's that great. He's that great. Steph Curry. And New York Knicks could have had him. Now, credit Golden State, because who's to say the Knicks would have done with him what Golden State did with him in terms of his development? After all, they did pass up on Mark Jackson and hire Mike D'Antoni instead. And the culture of the Golden State Warriors ultimately began, and Steve Kerr fed off of that and took it to another level. And kudos to him. 4 straight NBA Finals appearances, 3 championships.